My name is Regina Austin, and I teach at the University of Pennsylvania Law School in Philadelphia. I teach torts and insurance, but more importantly, I teach documentaries in the law, and I teach a seminar in visual legal advocacy. Visual legal advocacy is basically legal argumentation or advocacy by lawyers who use digital media technology to create arguments on behalf of their clients and their causes. Video is natural for legal advocacy because legal advocacy is about storytelling, and lawyers are basically telling other people's stories according to a script of doctrinal relevance. But there are many areas of the law where traditional storytelling and legal storytelling overlap. And that's where visual legal advocacy is particularly useful. That's true, for instance, in sentencing, where the story of the victim and the story of the perpetrator are relevant with regard to the sentence that a guilty defendant will receive. Teaching visual legal advocacy has been a wonderful experience. I had no idea that my students were as talented and creative as they've turned out to be, nor did I expect them to have as much depth as many of them have with regard to the technical aspects of video production. It's been an amazing learning experience for me, and I've learned a lot from my students and a lot from generous professionals who are intrigued by the idea of lawyers making stories, of clients telling their stories directly and in their own words. I think that there is not that much difference between writing an essay and creating a video essay. Research is at the heart of both. You really have to figure out what the story is. It needs to have a beginning, a middle, and end. You have to do research. Your facts have to be right. You have to look for visual images with which to tell your story. You have to think about using animation. And you also have to think about music and other aspects of a very good video. So you're exercising different parts of your quest for knowledge. And if you take it seriously and don't blow off video and digital media as a toy or a novelty, I think you can do very important work with video. People like stories, and they respond to stories that are told earnestly and that are told by people who have undergone some sort of transition in their lives. Video is very good at capturing movement. It's good at capturing growth. I think that video can really be quite useful in teaching people about the law and allowing people to explain how the law has impacted their lives. Before I got into the business of actually producing videos, that is, helping my students to direct videos and to make videos of their own, I spent a great deal of time thinking about images and the impact that images had on people's understanding, particularly of groups that are undervalued and subordinated in our society. Women, minorities, people with disabilities, people who are in some ways thought not to be part of the mainstream, have a very hard time getting any kind of attention for their humanity. And I thought that video would be an excellent way of altering the images of people who belong to groups that are undervalued. After I started producing videos and helping my students to produce videos, I began to see two things. One, that it was very important to allow people to present themselves as whole human beings, people who were quite complex as individuals, people who had social networks that were a source of assistance or not, and people whose lives were cabined by structures and institutions, some of which were helpful and some of which were not. So that my perspective on how you portray people and how people are able to portray themselves underwent somewhat of a change. Secondly, I came to realize that my students did not have sufficient sensitivity with regard to empowering their clients, that they didn't really know a whole lot about the full context of their clients' lives, but that the task of creating a video about their clients and about the circumstances of their clients' lives became an opportunity for them to see their clients in a more holistic way. Today I'm going to be giving the Betcherman lecture, and I'm going to be showing some of the work that's been done by my students. I hope that the audience will come to realize that visual legal advocacy is going to be, if it isn't already, an important part of law school curricular reform, and that the impetus to do visual legal advocacy is an impetus towards a more ethical and empowering legal profession. I'm often asked what I am. Am I a producer of videos? Am I a scholar of nonfiction cinema? Am I a researcher? Am I a teacher? I think I'm a combination of all of those things. I think that in the future we're going to have to straddle different areas of expertise. We're going to have to wear many different hats. But I like to think that helping my students to use technology to exercise their creative faculties with regard to not only the written word and the spoken word, but images and sound and animation and music is going to create better lawyers, a better legal profession, and that's basically what I'm about.